Good evening, friends. My name is Sean, and I'll be your host for the Food History Fireside Chat as we settle into a warm conversation about a chapter of our history that often gets overlooked. So pull up a chair, grab a snack, and get comfortable. Tonight's special presentation is coming to you thanks to Kayla, Kaylee, David, and Duke from Group 26 of the Food History Research Project. They explored a time when a simple garden became far more than a patch of soil. It became a symbol of national unity, purpose, and a steady hope at times of darkness. What follows is the story of how Americans turned to gardening to win wars. Now that we're settled, let's take a closer look at these gardens and what they meant for the country and why they were so important. Across both world wars, victory gardens shaped daily life. They changed how families cooked, how children helped at home, and how neighbors worked together. They eased the pressure on the food supply while giving people a way to feel connected to something larger than themselves. During war, even the smallest of gardens mattered. To understand the roots of the movement, we need to step back to the First World War. In 1918, a cheerful little booklet titled The War Garden Guide reached homes across the country. It used cartoon illustrations in a light tone rather than warnings and fear to encourage families to grow vegetables at home. Every crop harvested, from cabbage to carrots, meant more commercial crops could be used to support American soldiers overseas. In gardening, people took pride in the steady work to support the troops. Unfortunately, history has a way of repeating itself. We move into the Second World War, where gardening effort took on a scale that no one had ever seen before. In 1943, the federal government launched a nationwide campaign encouraging millions of people to plant gardens in cities, farms, and even the suburbs. The goals were simple: to strengthen the civilian food supply, support the military, and help families rely on what they could grow themselves. Guides offered planting sizes, seasonal plans, and canning advice. Local schools built garden beds, and communities opened unused lots. Even Eleanor Roosevelt, the wife of President Roosevelt, joined the cause and planted a garden on the White House lawn to show that everyone could and should take part. As this national movement gained momentum, the results became impressive. By the end of 1943, nearly 40% of all vegetables grown in North America came from home and community gardens. More than 20 million gardens appeared across the country. Children tended school plots as they supported their lunchrooms. Cities hosted gardening contests. But most of all, Americans discovered the quiet sense of accomplishment that comes from growing food with their own hands. To truly understand the feeling behind these gardens, it helps to look at the sources that captured them in real time. One article from the Cultural Crush offers a closer look at how the gardens became part of ordinary life, mixing memories, photographs, and reflections from those who lived in the era. It paints a picture of families working the soil and communities finding comfort in shared effort. Alongside that, a short wartime film clip on YouTube shows families bending over rows of vegetables, children carrying watering cans, and neighbors checking each other's progress. The footage is quite honestly wonderful to view. Nothing is staged. It's simply people doing what they could with what they had, turning small spaces into places of purpose. The source helps us to see that movement not as distant history, but something alive, made by real hands during real days. But behind this hopeful picture were deeper realities that deserve attention, for America has problems of its own. Not every community received the same support when it came to victory gardens. Educational programs, seed access, and gardening supplies often went to white middle-class neighborhoods, while Black, Latino, Indigenous, and immigrant families received less support. While many people joined willingly to the Victory Garden effort, others felt pressured to participate without the tools they needed to contribute successfully. Nonetheless, Victory Gardens created new roles for Americans not fighting overseas. These new skills grew into new responsibilities that shaped their lives long after the war. As the war came to an end, Americans shifted from wartime efforts to peace. With peace came changes in the way that Americans lived. New suburban neighborhoods appeared. Lawns became decorative instead of practical. Grocery shelves were filled with processed foods in large quantities. Families no longer felt the same need to grow their own produce. While gardens didn't disappear, they moved out of the center of daily life. Still, the ideas planted during those years continued to grow. Over the years, community gardens returned to cities. Families passed down the skills learned during wartime. Later, new movements focused on local food sourcing, environmental care, and sustainability appeared. All of these new ways at looking at food drew inspiration from these early wartime efforts. The spirit of the Victory Garden lives on in raised beds and shared plots across this nation. And now, my friends, we've reached the end of our evening together. Victory Gardens were far more than wartime efforts. They strengthened neighborhoods, taught new skills, and reminded us that steady shared acts can guide a country through difficult seasons. Their legacy still blooms today wherever people plant, grow, and share. Thank you for spending time with me this evening. And thank you once more to Kayla, Kaylee, David, and Duke of Group 26 for bringing this story forward.